unless you have this part dialed down, then everything else is going to slow down. And what I want to talk to you about today is how to move to a place with what's going on in the world today with, obviously, if you're in the US, it's coronavirus, right? Cases are constantly rising. Now the president's come out and says, hey, it's probably good to wear a mask. It's going to get worse before it gets better. All of this is happening. I'm in California. Things are shut down. I haven't gotten a haircut in forever. That's why I'm wearing a hat, right? So I don't ever wear a hat on these calls, but this is where we're at. This is where we're at. There's different things going on, right? And there's going to be things coming at you every day. Your team member is apprehensive. They're like, hey, I need to quit. Or I don't know if this is for me. Or gosh, is this safe? My question to you is this: what is it in your armamentarium, in your bag of tricks, in your resource bag that's going to prevent you from going down the wrong track? What is it that's going to help you to actually say, hey, I'm going to grow through this time? I'm not just going to go through it. I'm actually going to grow through these times. What is that thing going to be for you? And that's why I want to put this one together for you. I want to go over with you exactly how do you become bulletproof? How do you become bulletproof? And that is a bold statement. And by no means does it mean that, hey, doesn't matter what happens, we're not going to be affected by it. That doesn't mean that. But what it means is that if you look at all these things that are happening in our climate, things are coming at us. I got to find a new assistant. I have this happening with the patient or the insurance company. All of these bullets, quote unquote, are coming at us. How do we navigate through that? How do we manage that? And I can tell you this: you are the common denominator in all this. So I figured, gosh, man, this has helped me so much in my life. I have to share this with you because this will be the thing that will make you really leap to the next level, even during these times, or stay placated or sedated during these times. Now, I say this with conviction because I can tell you this: a lot of times when you have struggles like this, some of the greatest insights, greatest companies, greatest strategies, and delivery mechanisms are born in times of crisis, in times of struggle or challenge. That's when great things come about. But they only come about if we focus on the leader. If we focus on you. If we focus on, hey, where am I coming from? Where is my vision with all this? And it's easy. I can tell you this. It is easy to get sucked into other people's opinions and think that, oh my God, maybe they're right. Or maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe I don't have a vision because, God, that sounded pretty good what they said. And it's easy to get sucked into other people's opinions. And you forget your vision. And you forget why you started. And you forget why you got into that business, why you opened up your own practice, or why you want to see patients the way you do. You forget that because you think, gosh, oh man, their standards are different than mine. That doesn't make them bad people. That doesn't make them any less. You have to own and reclaim your vision again. Why did you start with this? Why are you doing the things you're doing in your practice? Why is it that way? Why are you seeing patients, aside from just delivering a service or having a business, because we have to be profitable? Why are you doing these things? What was your vision when you first started? Reclaim that. Identify that again. Don't let their opinions, whether it's a staff member, whether it's a family member, whether it is someone close to you, don't let their opinions distract you from your original vision, okay? And I can tell you this right now because it is so easy to say, God, I heard something on the news and I'm distracted. Or, man, I'm not feeling good today and forget it. Whatever it is so easy to do that. And the first place we need to start is, how do we reclaim that vision for ourselves? Because we have it. There's a reason you started. There's a reason you're doing this. And I can tell you this, you don't need the validation of other people to approve what you're doing. You don't need that. You don't need other people to validate your dreams. You got this. If the seed of insight and vision is with you, then also is the capability to make it come to fruition. If that seed of insight and vision is within you, then so is that ability and the capability to make it come to fruition. But how do we get there? How do we get there? And that's what becoming bulletproof is all about. It's not about, hey, you know what? If I'm going to get all these things at me and it's not going to affect me. No, it's not that at all. It's about, look, I know things are coming at me, but how do I actually navigate through this like a leader? Remember this. Look, leaders anticipate while others react. Right? Leaders anticipate while others react. And I want you to think of that because you're the leader of your practice. Now, there's three things. There are three things that are going to make the difference here, right? And if you really want to come to a place where you're optimizing your level of performance, your level of communication, and your level of business acumen, you have to dial out these three things in essence, so that way you can be bulletproof. Because things are coming at you. Things are gonna come at you, but how do you navigate through it? And that's what this is about. So I wanna go over three areas that if you don't dial out these three areas, then the mechanics that I go over with you, the strategies that we talk about, it's gonna be hard for you to implement them. You may feel lackadaisical on getting started on them, or you may feel like, God, I gotta do another thing. You know, the biggest resource you have is your emotional resource. If you don't tap into your emotional resource, how are you going to tap into the resources of your team? I know some of you are hiring new team members. I know some of you are training new team members right now. But I'll tell you this, if your team members are looking to you as a leader and you haven't tapped into your emotional resources, how are you supposed to lead them? And that's what this is about. How do you become bulletproof? The first way to do this is this. We're going to lay out three things, and I want you to think about this in this way, and I'm going to do it with you right here. And I want you, if you have a piece of paper in front of you, if you have something that you can write on, I want you to write this down on a sheet of paper in front of you, and I want you to remember this, and I want you to stick to this because this is going to make a huge difference. And I'm going to put this down here so you can see, and you can do the same. And I want you to draw this on the paper. I want you to draw this on this paper. And I want you to think of this, because this, what we're gonna fill in, is the key to becoming bulletproof. That doesn't mean you're not gonna have emotions. That doesn't mean you're not gonna be frustrated. That doesn't mean you're not gonna have periods where you're like sad about things. That's normal. But it's going to mean that you will be able to navigate through this with your best resources. You navigating through a situation as the best you is different than you navigating and just moving through a situation. You know that because you know you've been through a situation with the best you versus the person that just kind of, hippity hoppity moving through something, right? I want you to navigate through any situation with your best version. So the first thing is this, look at this block down here. This is the foundation. This is the foundation for these two. Write this in here, and I want you to do the same thing. And I want you to remember this. Put this up on your wall. Think about this. The number one thing, and they've done the research, they've done the studies on this, and before, this was a part of this bulletproof plan. Now, this is the foundation of it. The studies and the research are overwhelming. If you ignore this, you do so at your own peril, okay? So if you ignore this, you're gonna be like, and you're gonna be wondering why you're struggling. And it doesn't have anything to do with the mechanics that I can give you, because those mechanics are only as good as your implementation, right? So the number one thing is this, and this is the foundation for everything. Sleep. Sleep. I know some of you are like, Ranesh, is that the magic potion? Is that all you got? Really? I'm on this call and you're telling me to sleep? And the answer is yes, because we know common sense isn't always common practice. We know that, right? But sleep, and I'm going to go over 10 points with you on sleep, and then we're going to fill in these other 2 things. I'm going to tell you this. If you commit to this for the next 6 weeks, it will change your life. It would change your life. There's a story decades ago. There's a woman. She has a little child, and her child is always eating sugar every single day. Sugar, 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 sugar. And decades ago, and she goes to see the great Mahatma Gandhi, okay? So she travels from her village by foot many miles, and she goes to see Mahatma Gandhi. And she's like, God, she goes there, she stands in a massive line, and then she comes up to Gandhi and she says, hey, you're great. Everybody says all these great things about you. You're the great Mahatma Gandhi. Can you help fix my child? All she eats is sugar all day long. All she eats is sugar all day long. Can you please do something to fix this? And he looks at her and he says, come back in 2 weeks. Come back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, she's like, fine. She packs things up. She takes her kid with her. She starts traveling 20, 30 miles to go see him by foot. And she finally waits in that long line again, and she comes up to him and says, hey, can you please help my child? I was here just 2 weeks ago and you told me to come back. Can you please help my child? All they do is eat sugar. And Gandhi looked at the lady and said, stop eating sugar. That was it. And she goes, that's all you have for me? And he goes, yes, I couldn't tell you that 2 weeks ago because I was still eating sugar. So my point to you is that if you are going to implement anything in your life, you have to have congruence. I can't sit here and tell you about sleep if I myself haven't optimized it. It would just not be right? I can't sit here and tell you to do these things if I myself haven't optimized it. Me reading about it is not enough. Me becoming it is the beginning. And what I want for you is to become what we're going to go over, so that way you can lead. That way you can lead. Leaders are first, servants first. They serve. As your job as a leader is to serve. Get your hands dirty. I remember many times in my practice, the toilet would clog up. Nobody wanted to clean it. And we needed it fixed right immediately. I would go unclog it. I have no problem with that, because as a leader, that's what you're doing. I'm not saying that that's your role in your practice. I'm not trying to belittle your actions, but I'm saying that as a leader, that's what you do. That's what you do. So let's talk about this. The number one thing is sleep. That is the foundation for these two. Now, I'm going to tell you what these next two are. This one, so S, P, and N. This one here, let's fill it in. This one is physicality. And the next one is nutrition. Physicality, nutrition. Now, You may be thinking again, gosh, Ranesh, you're telling me to sleep, eat, and exercise? Yes, yes. But here's what I'm going to do. We are not just saying to do these things. I'm going to show you how to optimize these things in your day. So let's not start with the morning, because we know to master the morning, we have to tame the evening. Just like you, this was my issue. I liked, my morning time, but my problem was I had never tamed the evening. To master the morning, you got to tame the evening. It's almost like if you want to master the start of your day, what are you doing the night before? What are you doing the night before? What is it that you're doing? So my question to you is, hey, let's start there. Let's start with why, and I want to show you this. Why am I really doting on sleep? Why is sleep such a big deal? So I want you to write this down. Look, and if this doesn't have you see why this one thing affects everything, then you're missing the point, because this one thing affects everything. Because I can tell you this, if your health is no good, there goes your practice, there goes your wealth, there goes your potential to produce anything in this world. There it goes. If your health is no good, then everything is out of the window. And I can tell you this because some of you, all of us have gotten sick at some point. And you know that, gosh, man, it is so hard to be productive. So why is sleep so important? Well, I can tell you this right now. With all the research and all the data, here are 10 things on why it's important. And this will convince you to optimize your sleep, which we're going to talk about. So progressively shorter sleep, I want you to take this in, was associated with a 45% increased risk of developing coronary artery disease. 45%. Now, shorter sleep doesn't mean 3 hours. Because you're like, I sleep 6 hours. I'm talking about anything less than 8 or 7.5 hours of sleep. 6 hours or less, 45% increase in the fact that you will develop a heart-related condition, coronary artery disease, right? That's a big deal. Adults 45 or older who sleep less than 6 hours a night are 200% more likely to have a heart attack or a stroke during their lifetime as compared to those sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. So if you're like, okay, I'm in that midlife area where, gosh, I don't feel like I need a lot of sleep, but if you are sleeping 6 or less hours, you're 200% more likely to die from a heart attack, because sleep loss pumps up blood pressure in the entire body. The entire body. You lose sleep, your systolic blood pressure goes up. And I'll give you the resource on all this once we get over it. So you can read it for yourself as well. And this is not just one resource, there's multiples. Okay, it's not like, oh, I read this line. No, there's multiples of studies referencing this, backing all this up. So just one night of sleep deprivation, one night, speeds up the heart rate, and that can increase your systolic blood pressure, right? And by the way, if you're thinking, gosh, maybe these studies, Ranesh, maybe they were done on people that were, immunocompromised, or they weren't fit, or people that were already, not sleeping well. No, these studies were done on young, fit people, okay? People that are young and fit. So if we are young and whatever level your fitness is, this applies to you. The next thing is this. So it creates an overreactive sympathetic nervous system. So, if your sympathetic nervous system is always on fight or flight mode, are you stressing out your adrenals? Is your cortisol level rising? Absolutely, right? And they know this because, look, every year, what happens every year? In the Northern Hemisphere, what happens? Every year in March, we get daylight savings time. Every year's daylight savings in March. The clocks spring forward. they've done studies on 1 million records the next day. So in March, time moves forward. Clock springs forward. It's daylight savings times. Now you lose what? An hour of sleep. Everybody across the northern hemisphere loses an hour of sleep. The next day, heart attacks spike across millions of records. So sleep is directly influenced with literally the heart issue. Now, the contrary is true as well. In autumn, where the time goes back, and you get to sleep in an hour more, the next day, the heart attacks dip. They dip the very next day. And they've based this off of millions of records, health records. So this is not data that is hard to get when you have institutions that are publishing their records like this, right? What is it to statistics? The next day it dips. So I'm gonna tell you this right now. Sleeping 6 hours or less is likely, at worst, to kill you, right? Now, you may say, okay, Ranesh, that sounds very dismal. You know, what are some other areas that are not as crazy, but are more related to performance, right? Well, if you are interested at all in testosterone, sleep loss ages a man's testosterone by 10 to 15 years and shows a significant dive in testosterone levels when compared to when you're rested. Right? So if you're rested, your testosterone level is gonna be higher. Now, if you're like, oh, what about the women? Same thing. Follicle stimulating hormone, same thing. All your reproductive hormones, reproductive organs, and actual physical attractiveness, men and women, were all reduced by short sleep. And they did a study on the physical attractiveness part, where they actually took a group of people and they took a picture of these individuals that had slept 6 hours or less for the last week versus those that had slept 7.5 hours to 9 hours. The people that were well rested, same lighting condition. The picture was taken at 3 p.m., same exact condition. On a unbiased evaluation, the people that took the pictures that were well rested came across looking better in the pictures versus the ones that were less than 6 hours. Fascinating. Back in the day, they used to think, hey, these are some of the pillars of health. Your sleep, your nutrition, your physicality. It's not that way anymore. It's like, this is the foundation which everything bakes on top of. That's why I put that down in there, because it's like, this is the foundation. So, gosh, okay, this is enough. Like, if this isn't convincing enough, then a few more here. This is gonna be a good one, especially for the times that we're living in. If you sleep less than 6 hours or less before becoming exposed to the flu virus, you're 50% more likely to get infected with it than if you were well rested. So let's say you slept, 50%, 6 hours or less. Flu season comes around. You're 50% more likely to get infected with the virus than if you're well rested. That's it. Well rested, it's 18%. So you choose. Which one is it? So, and here's the other thing, where everybody's talking about vaccinations, right? So sleep also profoundly impacts your response to the standard flu vaccine. And they did the same thing with Hep A and Hep B vaccines, right? Obviously, we don't get those all the time, but the standard flu vaccine, those that slept 6 hours or less or so a night, they had a 50% decrease immune response to the flu vaccine, right? So those are getting 6 hours of sleep a night, where essentially, if you're getting less than 6 hours of sleep a night, you're essentially 4 times more likely to get the flu. 4 times more likely to get it, because your immune response also dives. So you get vaccinated, the amount of antibodies and the quality of those antibodies that are produced by your body in response to the vaccine is 50% less. So if you're going to get the flu vaccine this year, make sure you're well rested before you get it, because it will affect how your body produces antibodies and how it uses that vaccination to shield you from the actual flu coming at you. Same thing's going to happen when they come out with the corona vaccine. It's the same thing. If you're not well rested, the immune response goes down by 50%. Now, here's the other thing. I can speak openly because this is, a medical community, but I'll tell you this, just one single night, right? One single night of 4 hours or less sleep decreases your natural killer T cell response by 70%. Your natural killer T cells are responsible for breaking through the cell walls of cancer cells. We all have a certain amount of cancer cells that have gone AWOL in our body, they're floating around. But one night of sleep, that's 4 hours or less. Like you go to sleep at, 3 o'clock a.m. and you wake up at 7 a.m. You think, okay, I'm fine. That decreases your natural killer T cell response by 70%. Same thing if you're talking about cognition. Well, if you're talking about cognition, what happens is your short-term memories have to go to your prefrontal cortex and have to be converted into long-term memory. That process is severed, going from short-term to long-term with the lack of sleep. So you may be thinking, okay, Ranesh, I'm in, I get it, stop. I know, okay, I need to get sleep. I get that. So how do you optimize your sleep? Because I say this just saying I'm screwed. No, you're not. But look, awareness of the problem is the beginning of the solution, okay? Same thing with anything in your offices. The minute you become aware, it is the start of becoming enlightened to find a solution, all right? So what's the solution? What did I say in the beginning? To master the morning, you got to tame the evening. How do you tame the evening? Well, the first thing is this. You have to realize you have to give yourself at least 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. I would say 30 minutes to an hour to wind down and transition to sleep. Transitions in our day are very important. I'll give you an example. If you walk into your home after a full day of patients, and you got the kids coming at you, you got your husband in your ear, you got your wife coming at you, whatever it is, and you walk into your home after a full day of patients, but you don't take a brief pause and just kind of reset your mind saying, okay, I was boss woman here, or I was boss man here, now I am home, and now I'm family man, or I am a supportive spouse, or I am this person to my kids. If you don't take a second to transition yourself into your home, what happens? You bring the person you were in the business into your home. And how many of you know that doesn't work, right? You can't bring the business person into the house because it's not the same thing. So what you have to do is transition. And the same thing with sleep. If you're going to sleep a third of your day, 8 hours, how do you transition to sleep? You need to give yourself 30 minutes to an hour. And here are ways to transition. First thing is this, turn down the lights in your home. That's huge because every single light in your home, LED, screen light, whatever it is, phones, it contains blue light. Blue light disrupts melatonin production, okay? So you need to have melatonin at a certain level to be able to transition and go to sleep and experience the different levels of sleep, right? NREM, REM sleep, all of that. So the first thing you gotta do is dim the house, or at least dim the room, and make sure your room that you're sleeping in is dark. If at best, ideally pitch dark, right? No lights getting in. If that's not the case, then at least as dark as you can. And if you're really gonna optimize this, keep that sleeping temperature around 68 to 72 degrees. 68, 69 is ideal because your melatonin production will increase and be more reactive to transitioning you to sleep when your body's cooler. That's why they say, hey, don't do these crazy workouts at night. because it's not going to help you transition to sleep. Now, if you're thinking, gosh, Ranesh, well, I'm on my phone, or I'm watching some TV, as most everyone does at night, how do I mitigate with that? Well, the first thing you can do is you can put on the warmer light hue on your phone. That's a setting you have on your phone, which you probably already have. But the other thing you can also do is wear blue light blocking glasses. Okay, so these are, and you can get these on Amazon, any company, it doesn't really matter. But I use these. They're by Swanwick. I can send you guys the link here in the chat. But any company will do, right? But you need these blue light blocking glasses. And what these do is they reduce blue light into your optical apparatus and hence triggering your brain to keep, if you have blue light, the melatonin production is going to stay lowered. It's not going to produce the melatonin enough for you to trigger sleep. So what you do is you put these on for about at least an hour before you go to bed. That's the modern day hack, right? You put these on an hour before you go to bed. And I can tell you, I've been wearing these now for a year. You definitely feel more sedated and more like relaxed after an hour having these things on. Sounds crazy, but just try it. Don't even believe me on it, try it. You will feel calmer. Now, the hue and the colors on the TV will not be the same because blue will look like green, green will look like green, and Fema says, yes, they work, right? So she got hers, got mine after the last class. So yeah, I talked about this a few classes ago. Get these, wear them at least an hour before, right? Set your bedtime. The sleep you get at 10 p.m. and you start sleeping at 10:30 is different, even if you slept 8 hours, than the sleep you're gonna get if you went to bed at 1 a.m. Because our bodies, as much as we try to fight it, we are part of nature. And the circadian rhythms of nature predicate that, hey, our human systems, if they're more in line with the natural systems, we will be healthier. And going to bed by 10:30 and sleeping till at least 7.5, 8 hours. So you could do the math, 6, 7 o'clock. That is the healthy time slot. Now you may be thinking, okay, great, this is great, Ranesh, but this will help your team too. If you're struggling with a team member and they're always coming in, look, I'll tell you this, if you're yawning like multiple times in the morning, you're sleep deprived. It's that simple. If you come in and you're yawning 5, 6, you're sleep deprived. When I shifted my sleep habits, I'm like, God, I'm not yawning as much. I'm not having the afternoon dip, right? You have that afternoon dip where you're like, I'm feeling sluggish. That went away. Sleep affects everything. So those are some optimizers. The glasses. Do not eat a heavy meal 3 hours before you're about to go to bed. I always say to tell people, look, go to bed a little bit hungry. You will sleep so much better and you will feel so much better. Go to bed slightly hungry. If you want to eat something, don't have something heavy and just loaded with fats, oils, and carbohydrates, right? All the stuff that we love to eat, potato chips, all that stuff at night, right? I get it. I'm human too, right? So don't do that. And I can tell you this, and I'm not going to get into this in this session, but in January, I personally went dairy-free and sugar-free. Like the only sugar I've eaten is a fruit. Like I eat all types of fruit, but it's been amazing. That'll be another session on how to get there and do that. But Sheila's, hooraying me on because she understands how valuable that is. So those things are valuable, but before you even get to those, optimize your sleep. Don't eat 3 hours before bedtime. Keep the room dark, keep it cooler. And if another hack is taking a hot bath or shower at night. Why does that work? Because in the shower or the bath, your body heats up, but then when it comes out, the blood rushes away onto the surface, from the surface, and it starts to cool you down. So the after effect of a warm shower at night is, the sum of that is a cooling effect to transition you to go to bed. Okay? So that is another hack that you can use for this. Now, if you are going to bed, you're like, God, I'm tossing and turning, get out of your bed, go to another location, read a book. Don't fight it. Just go and read a book. Do not look at a screen an hour before bed. Now, this is a tough one, which means that I want you to wind down your day. Your day has to have an end point. And this was the hardest one for me. I wanted to just keep going. I'm like, oh my God, I could do all this work, or I could do this, or like I can shoot a video. I'm like, let's just keep going. But I figured out, like, look, you have to end your day. Like, you can't, like, you have to close out the day. Close out the day. What? Because, there's going to be tomorrow. You're going to have another day. Close out the day. Let yourself know that, look, I'm going to close out the day so I can have tomorrow. Because let me tell you, nothing feels as good as being rested. As good as being rested. Give yourself the gift of rest. It's a God-given benefit that we all have access to. If you're not rested and you're working so hard, what's it all for? Because you've been through your days when you haven't been rested, and it sucks. It's not fun to go through a day unrested. So give yourself the gift of that rest. Now, those are ways to optimize sleep, all right? And to transition into sleep. And make sure, I can tell you the number one thing out of all of these is make sure you're going to bed at the same time every day, even the weekends. If you want to optimize this for the next 6 weeks, like I said, weekends too. So for me, it is 10:30. That's my thing. Not anything earlier, it's a bonus, 10:30. And I'll be off of devices like 30 minutes before that. 30, 40 minutes. If I can do it for an hour, I'll do it for an hour. And I don't use TV to sedate myself to go to bed. I don't have a TV in my bedroom. I don't feel like that is the right place to absolutely. The bedroom is to rest, recover, sleep, connect, whatever you're going to be. It's a spiritual place. So give yourself that. 8 hours of your day is spent there. And if it's not, it should be spent there. Because everything else that you experience in your life, just trust me on this, everything else you experience in your life will become more colorful, more vibrant, more fulfilling the minute you infuse sleep and rest into your day. So many of you are not giving yourself that chance. You are depriving yourself from a better life, from a free thing you can do. So what about the next two? What about physicality and nutrition? Now, this is the base. Sleep is the base. Physicality is essentially, how do you move your physical body? What do you do with it when you get up? How do you activate it to harness the day? You have to be activating your body before you run into the day. Do not ever run into the day before activating your body. Now, there's so many ways to do this. Some of you, that is, hey, meditation. Others, it is, hey, you know what? It's my workout. For others, it's a walk. But I can tell you this, whatever it is, I want you to get 20 minutes of sunlight in the morning. It tells your body that the day has begun. Things are waking up. It ties you into the circadian rhythm. And what I also want you to do is, you remember, when you wake up in the morning, you are dehydrated. You haven't eaten or drank anything. But I want you to, the first thing at minimum, drink 16 ounces, which is pretty much right here. This tells me I got 16 ounces of water, which is this much, upon waking up, with a pinch of lemon in it. All you got to do is squeeze lemon into your water. Why do I say put lemon into there? Because lemon has a metabolic after effect of building alkalinity in your body. All right? And the more alkaline and more consistently alkaline your body is, the less likely viruses, bacteria, fungi, all these things can thrive in there, right? So, easiest thing, cut a lemon, squeeze it right into your water, nurse that water, drink the water. before you even have coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, do it before your coffee. Personally, I don't drink coffee, so that's one thing I'm not, into. But this will change the game. Hydrate your body. Now, you're like, okay, Ranesh, what do I eat in the morning? What do I do? Well, I can go on and on this, but I've based a lot of the stuff on if you want to cleanse your body and you want to feel rejuvenated, then really you should not be eating high fat foods in the morning. Because what happens? Your liver has to secrete bile. Not your liver, your gallbladder has to secrete bile, right? And the whole detoxification sequences in your liver amp up. So if you're eating a fatty piece of whatever it is, you're not giving your body a chance to enter the day. So I don't have any radical fats in the morning. Now I'm basing a lot of this off of this Cleanse to Heal book, which is a game changer, okay? So I want you to incorporate some sort of juice for yourself in the morning. Not orange juice, preferably vegetable juice. And the one that I'm doing right now is celery juice, okay? So I'm doing celery juice. If you're like, okay, how am I supposed to drink all this? I'm gonna drown. The water and the juice, what the heck? So if you want to go straight to the juice and skip the water, that's fine. Because celery juice, most of it's water, right? But it has sodium cluster salts in it, which help fight viruses, bacteria, hydrates your body. It's tremendous. I've been on the celery juice thing for 2 weeks now on celery juice, right? Every morning on an empty stomach, which means empty stomach means 30 minutes after your water intake or right before you do the water. And then after you do this, you can do 30 minutes water and do not mix this with food. Empty stomach, no food. That's how you're going to get the benefits. If you want to know more about this, then this is a great book by Medical Medium. And so is this big one here, which is awesome. Now, what have you done? What have you done? Because I want you to ask yourself this. When you're eating these foods in the morning, I want you to ask yourself, how much of what I'm eating, think of this, is nutrient dense? How much of what I'm eating is nutrient dense? If I eat a piece of toast, is it nutrient dense? No. It's wheat and carbs. There's no nutrients in there. If you have a peach or a mango or something with a bunch of nutrients in it, isn't your body, just common sense, gonna wake up better? Isn't it going to react and acclimate better? It's going to get the nutrients. How much of what you eat is nutrient dense versus nutrient dead? 2 strips of bacon are nutrient dead. You're eating a dead, it's nutrient dead. Wake your body up the right way. Get that sunlight. And now what I said was activate your body, which means move. Now, if you're like, okay, Ranesh, I have, an issue with my ankle. You can still do stretches. You can still do, something for your core. You can still do some form of yoga. You can do all of that stuff. You can still do all that. Activate your body. Do not go into work if you haven't activated your body. I can tell you this, you will not have the same level of vibrancy or energy with your team. You'll walk in and you'll just be like, it'll be a lower level of you. Activate your body. Take a walk around your neighborhood. Walk around wherever you're at. Stretch, even if you have 5 minutes. Get outside, get some sun. And some of you are like, I don't get any sun. Well, listen, everyone gets sun. It may not be the sunlight that you get in the Bahamas, but everyone gets sun. Otherwise, we wouldn't have daylight, right? So get outside, stretch, do something, work out, push-ups, go for a walk. Give yourself these things. This is how you become bulletproof. When you mix the sleep with the physicality and the nutrition aspect of it, which we talked about, which I kind of blended in here in a sense. I blended that in because that sleep and nutrition and physicality is kind of like, okay, what am I doing physically? That's what I'm doing in the morning. 20 minutes of sunlight, walking, moving around, activating my body. What can I do to activate my body? I can stretch, I can run, I can increase my heart rate to 100 beats per minute, right? I'm breaking a minor sweat. These are things that I can do. If you are not breaking a little bit of a sweat, you don't have to be pouring or drenching, then you haven't activated your body. And stretching can do that too. Stretching can do that too, right? Look, what good is it to optimize your office if you can't experience an optimized state of being? Right? We're all here trying to optimize our practices. Gosh, we need to optimize if we can't experience an optimized state of being, what good is it? What good is it? And to experience this, it doesn't cost you anymore. Right? It doesn't cost you anymore. Nutrition. Now, this is a big topic. I don't want to dive into this and get lost in it, but the number one question to ask yourself is, am I eating something that's nutrient dense or nutrient dead? Which one is it? Which one is it? If you're eating something for lunch, protein based, are you pairing it with a salad? If you're like, God, I don't know where to get lunch. There are many services out there that now will deliver healthy lunches to your doorstep. Many of them. I use one called Thistle. They literally deliver the food that's like, it's designed, there's counts on it, there's protein. It tells you what it is right to your door. There's vegetarian ones, there's whatever is your preference, it's there. Once you pair those things up, and you pair all three of these, are you more or less likely to navigate through your day? Becoming bulletproof doesn't mean you don't get bullets shot at you, because we can't control that. But when things happen to us, if we are sedated from a lack of sleep, bad nutrition, and no movement, we are not the best organism for dealing with anything. We're not. Right? And I could lastly say with the nutrition part, which we didn't dive into as much because it's a whole big game with that. And I can share with you my journey on becoming dairy-free and sugar-free and how that's helped. But I can tell you the one thing is hydrating yourself. Hydrating yourself. If you're not making it easy to stay hydrated, you will become dehydrated. And for those of you that are into supplementation, I've gone over some of this before, but I also have, and you can pick any vitamin you want, but make sure it's a whole food-based vitamin. It is not just ascorbic acid. It's not synthetically processed. It's not laboratory made. It's made through mixing whole food ingredients. So it's in the formulation as if you were to eat that specific food, right? So this is a great brand that I use, and there's plenty of other great brands. I by no means have any affiliation towards any of these things. I'm just sharing them with you. Vitamin code is great. There's men and women. There is also their B12. And I also take a zinc supplement by a company called Vimergy. It's literally drops of zinc, which helps with the immune system. Vitamin D3 is great. I know Sheila knows a lot about this as well. This is excellent because if you're not getting enough sun, this is excellent. And everybody should be taking this regardless. And then for antiviral effect on anything, lysine. Lysine is supposed to be exceptional to fight off viral load, right? Does this mean that if you get a virus, you just take a bunch of lysine, you're gonna be cured of it? No. What we're trying to do is become bulletproof, which means that if something does happen, we can navigate our way around it. Someone wears a bulletproof vest, it's not that they dodge the bullets, but if they get hit, they're better able to navigate through them, right? It's the same thing. Now, for 6 weeks, if all you did was, for 6 weeks is all you did was optimize your sleep. Because remember I said sleep. If you're like, Ranesh, I'm doing this pretty good in the morning, and I'm getting my nutrition, I have my whole, set up on that, but I'm not good here. Guess what? You are not going to get the benefit that you could get if you had this optimized. I used to suck at the sleep part. I speak so strongly about it because I've gone the other way now. Now I have optimized it. But I used to be horrible at this. And my parents even said, hey, look, when you were a kid, you were in the crib crying and you would never go to sleep. So some people just are born that way, whatever it is. But I've optimized it. And I can tell you, it is a massive difference. It is a massive difference. You do not get that winded, tired, I need something satiated feeling when you dial in your sleep. If there's one thing you get today, please get that 8 hours of sleep. And if there's a resource you want to read on that, this book is groundbreaking from Matthew Walker, Why We Sleep. Okay. Now, this book is so good that in 2017, named the best book. like named best book of 2017. Like, if you wrote a book and if it got onto the New York Times bestseller, you'd be like stoked. Oh my God, it's on the New York Times bestseller. In 2017, this was like, forget that. Best book. Best book. So if you want to read it by the London Evening, Financial Times, by Business Insider, Greater Good Magazine, and this book will change your life. This book alone. For me, it tipped me over to a fan of getting rest, being rested, sleeping. Do you know LeBron James sleeps at least 9 hours a day? Like, he's a specimen of an athlete. And aside from all the amazing things he does in his life, from charitable causes, all that, but LeBron gets 9+ hours of sleep a night. So athletes understand this. They understand this. If you want better performance, get your sleep. And if you want more of a reason to get it, read this book by Matthew Walker. It will change your life, okay? Now, after you do that, and then everything else you do on top will be like doing it with rocket fuel. Ramya says, hey, it's life-changing. I lost weight. My brain sharpened, skin better. Dr. Dobie said that. That's amazing. And Ramya says, please share your journey to being vegan and sugar-free. Yeah, I'll definitely do a video on that. In January, I made this outrageous goal. And I said, okay, January came along, January 1st, and I said, I'm going to cut out the dairy, right? And I'm also going to cut out the sugar. And people are like, you're crazy, man. No sugar and dairy? Are you nuts? Like, and let me tell you, you guys know, I had a sweet tooth, okay? So like it's not just one little thing of Snickers or one cookie. My wife, she can have one and she's good. I'm like, there's how many more is in there? Like, let me have 4. Or like, it's never one donut, it's like 3, you know? So it was perpetual. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I said that in December. I'm like, well, this is nuts. Like, and I had the benefit of like, I gained some weight, but I could still cover it up. But January 1st came along and I was like, I know better. Let me cut the dairy. Let me cut the sugar. And I'll go over the whole journey, but I'm still dairy-free and I'm still in July sugar-free. And the effect that has had is so life-changing. And you don't have to do that. I'm not gluten-free yet, but that is definitely good. You don't have to do that yet, but I want you to at least start with the sleep. Efema says this is something that's I've always struggled with, right? And take it from me, someone who has struggled with their sleep their whole life. Not because when I go to bed, I'm fine, but it's like closing the day to go to bed. Like, instead of closing the day, I'm like, let's open the day up. Let's go. Like, I'm like, no. You got to wind the day down, right? Wind the day down, go to bed, 10:30. It would change your life. Like, imagine having superpowers that are in you, that they're yours. You become a better you by you not paying for anything more and you actually working less, right? The whole goal is like, do less, work less, accomplish more, be more, right? That's the whole thing. So dial out that sleep. Next 6 weeks, start this off. And how does this connect to what we've been talking about? Well, I can tell you this. When you're rested, you're more likely to take action on the things that you know you got to do. You just are. It's this layer. We didn't talk about meditation here. We didn't talk about all these other things because look, sleep. It's 8 hours of your life. That's why this is number one. That's why now, hey, listen, now the World Health Organization, the one that we opted out of, the World Health Organization, right? Just said, as of recent years, that nighttime shift work is considered, guess what? A carcinogen. Nighttime shift work is considered a carcinogen. It's that bad, right? So start it today. Give yourself the gift of this. Come back. Let me know how things went in 6 weeks. It will change your life. And then you'll be like, God, you know what? I'm going to do a little vegetable juice in the morning. Maybe I'll have my celery juice in the morning. Now I'm doing about 16 ounces of celery juice every morning, empty stomach. What's better? Starting your day off, Dr. Dobie knows, with fresh living foods or 2 strips of bacon. You figure it out. I mean, it just common sense. Living foods. If you want more life, take it in. What's better? It's common sense, right? Sometimes we get so swayed away from the goodness that is right in front of us that we forget on what we should be doing on a daily basis to optimize ourselves. Dr. Krishnamurti, I remember her saying, I think it was a few calls ago, she goes, 80 or 90% of it's mindset. And the other 10 or 20% is mechanics. Now, if 80 or 90% is mindset, and you buy into that, which I think definitely it is, then wouldn't it be great to optimize everything in your life that can enhance that mindset? You go to do anything with your partner, your family members, anything. And if you're feeling good, doesn't the thing that you do become more fulfilling? Yes. Versus if you're constantly yawning or placated or just lethargic. Look, your life is the emotional vibrance you bring to it, right? We're all wanting this goal. And we think that when we get to that goal, we're going to have this emotional breakout session. No. What we're going to have when we achieve that goal, which you will, is this place that you are emotionally right now. The place that you are emotionally right now, that's what's going to keep going. So unless you shift that with optimizing these things, then emotionally you're going to be at the same place, right? If you want to lead your team, if you want to be an example for a better business, a better level of service, a better level of vision, these are things you got to optimize. These are things we got to optimize. It's not about come see me, here's the blue pill or the red pill, right? It's not about the pills. It's about this stuff. So I wanted to put this out there. I hope this was helpful for you. I know it's different than what I usually talk about in our group, but I have felt such great benefits and outcomes in my life. It would be a disservice if I didn't get them out there to you, because maybe there's something I'm hoping you can take all 3 of this from this session.